Welcome aboard the Wedding Empires podcast with yours truly, Jack Bowie, where we plunge into the depths of creativity, entrepreneurship, and the love-infused world of weddings. Each episode, we're going to unpack strategies, insights, and stories that empower you to craft the wedding business of your dreams. Welcome to the Wedding Empires podcast. So, Ben, with this last episode that we had, you kind of made mention that business networking's not really your thing.
Yes. And in doing so, I got called out during that episode and was kind of forced to go to a little photographer's networking.
Oh, you went?
I went. Yeah, the next morning.
Good.
Yes.
Without me?
Yeah.
Okay. He was gonna take me, but anyway,
it was too early.
We'll take that offline.
Even I didn't make it on time.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, that would have pissed me off.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
So with Ben confiding in me and all of you that he doesn't love business networking, I thought it would be a good idea to bring in one of the experts who has turned business networking into an absolute art form. So let's not waste any more time. Let's bring him in, and hopefully, Ben, you're going to leave today with absolute amazing skill set when it comes to business networking.
Yep. Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Everyone meet Jordan Heller. Hi, Jordan. How are you going?
We need like a round of applause.
We need some sound effects.
How are you, Jordan?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm living the dream. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jordan Heller, we've brought you in because you have a really impressive CV when it comes to business networking. I know you've got some diverse experience around catering, venue sales, and event planning, but you've really mastered your craft when it comes to building connections and networking. So I guess I'd like to hear about your journey, sort of specifically through the events industry.
Yeah, after college, like a lot of people, I had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. So I ended up waiting on tables. So I was doing that for a few years and moved to Florida. Kind of being in food service kind of led me into catering. I started doing catering for like luncheon catering, making sandwiches and dropping them off at doctors' offices and pharmaceutical reps and all that. But I ended up really building good relationships with the pharmaceutical reps. So when I was fired from that job, had made a lot of good connections that I got a job at another company, kind of like telling them I was coming with these connections for lunch business. And when I moved to that job, I ended up buying that company. So I took over this catering company, but that was like a full service caterer. And I had come from like little sandwiches and nothing. So I really bit off a lot with that. But while I was there, I started doing weddings. I started doing full service catering. But for some reason, I used to get this like really big high out of referring people. Like I would bring people in for a tasting, and I had this whole table in my tasting room with business cards. And I'd be like, oh, who don't you have? You don't have a DJ? Here's a DJ. And they were like looking at me like I was nuts sometimes. But I don't know, something about the idea of getting business for someone else. Also, knowing who you're going to work with on the wedding day was exciting. When you walk in, you don't know all the vendors. It was exciting to be able to help that process. I kind of didn't realize I was building the steps of networking then. But after that, I went into venue sales, and I started this networking group on the side just as a fun side thing. Me and a planner did this twice a year networking event. She was a wedding planner and I was working at venues. Our first event, we had 180 vendors come to, and
wow.
It kind of just grew from there. And after a few years, had someone kind of sit me down and put pen to paper and was like, you could do this as a business. So in 2020, late 2019, starting in 2020, I flipped it into a full-time business where I now have 215 members and do monthly networking events, education, and all different types of things.
And it's called Swell.
Yeah, it's I wanted something that I could say as a word, because there's a lot of networking groups that are just like letters, or sometimes they're letters and they're not supposed to make a word, but people say it as a word and it sounds ugly. So I spent a lot of time like using the letters and finding something that was easy to say that sounded like something else that had like a positive connotation behind it. So after, mixing up a bunch of, you always have to have wedding and event. So I knew there's going to be a W and E in there. But yeah, so Swell is Suncoast Wedding and Event Leaders.
I have to say it. Jordan, that's a swell name.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
I do actually need some sound effects. I'm gonna arrange that for the next episode. So something you don't know about me, Jordan, is I actually developed a business networking event business myself called Business in Heels, and it grew to 55 franchises worldwide. So wow. I also know a thing or two about networking events. So I'm really interested to know, I guess, the format of the event. How does it work? What sets it apart from other networking events out there?
Yeah, so our events, I really pride myself on creating FOMO with our events that they're all really unique. I think one thing that's really fun about our events is they're not usually expo style. They're more a themed cocktail party, the majority of them, which is kind of how we started out, and we've continued that, through now that we're a membership. We have a big themes, pop culture themes, retro themes, and it allows our members to showcase what they can do in the confines of a theme, which is kind of like what a client would throw at you. They give you the parameters of their event design. So it's not just a bunch of tables with decor that's at odds with each other. It's always stuff that's cohesive and within a theme. From the food, the music, everything kind of goes together. So that really, I think, gets people excited, especially if it's a theme they're excited about. We did a Harry Potter event, and there were a lot of people who were not Harry Potter fans, but they came out just because they wanted to see what we were going to do with it.
You are, or you're not? No, I'm not either. Are we allowed to say that?
And the ratings go, no.
I don't think I've even seen one. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but so we do a lot of those themed events. We do education events. Our big Swell Summer Summit, which is in August every year, is a full day of education, main stage speakers and breakout. We do some events that are speed networking. We have a really popular event every March. Last year was coffee over competition. This year was cocktails over competition because we made it a little bit more alcoholic this year. But it was roundtable discussions by vendor category. All the planners sat together, all the photographers sat together, all the DJs sat together, and everyone kind of had discussions within their category about what was plaguing them in their specific sect of the industry. And then at the end, they all had a representative at the table who stood up and kind of read out their pain points to the rest of the industry. And it was really cathartic and fun. And people were kind of taking jabs at each other, but in a fun way. And it really helped people connect with other people who do what they do instead of looking at them as just competition.
Can I throw you under the bus, Jordan?
Yeah, that's good.
In the email prior to this, you said that you were going to make me uncomfortable. So I think we No, my question is, the wedding industry worldwide has what we call wedding expos, wedding fairs, that kind of thing. And it's all the suppliers in one spot, and everyone comes in and everyone just tries to hawk their wares and sell them their stuff and all that sort of stuff. And it's like walking through, if you've ever been to Bali, it's like walking through Bali. The couples get to the end of it and just go, oh my God, I'm so over this, get me out of here, eject. And for probably the last 10 years of my career, I've been trying to work out a better way to do that. A similar kind of scenario where you obviously you're a supplier, you're a vendor, and people are coming in to see you. But have you got any ideas of how that can be done better so that people don't walk in and feel kind of sold to, violated, and walk out going, oh my God, that was just, how do I get out of here?
Yeah. So I don't do wedding expos myself. I do business to business. I don't really do business to client except for my magazine. But I have seen a couple twists on it. I've seen people do more boutique style events. There was, where they had people in pods, kind of, where there were different pods around the room, where it was every pod had a planner, a florist, a photographer. You would go, and it was kind of like vendors who worked well together, and you could pick a whole pod. I've seen ones where it's there was one, I think, where couples had a liaison almost, and took them around the room. They would say, oh, I need to meet with these 3 people. And they would kind of take them around the room.
Can you tell us about how, I guess, you've become particularly skilled at networking?
Yeah, I mean, I think having jobs didn't pay well helped because it really kind of makes you put your head down and really get to know people and to get to the next step in your career. And so I never really missed any opportunity, especially when I was working at places that they may have had a good reputation, but but weren't paying that well. So people get excited to meet you because you were from that venue or from that company. So I would use that reputation of the places I worked with to meet as many people. I would use it to get people to come to Swell events, not in any kind of promissory way, just kind of hey, this is Jordan from so-and-so, we're having an event. But I really use the names of the places And obviously being at a venue is always great because venues and planners, it's kind of, sometimes you can go to a networking event, just if you have the right name tag on, you can just stand back and the people come to you. So I use that to meet people. But Ben, I'm kind of like you where I don't really like networking, which is weird for me to say running a networking group professionally. But if I go to, another market and walk into a room of people I don't know, I'm like against the wall. Like I feel like completely assaulted just by the thought of having to talk to strangers. So I totally get that. But really, I just used knowing people as a way to kind of make my comfort zone where now like I can walk into my own event and I know 90 of 100 people. So it's comfortable. They're all my friends and they're going to introduce me to the other 10 people. And then the next month, I'm going to know everyone. And then, the new people will come and I'll get introduced to them. And so you kind of have to do that as an attendee as well. You have to meet as many people as possible, not just in person, but like virtually as well. I always find meeting people virtually first makes it really easier. If you connect on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, and you know someone's face, it's so weird to walk up to a group of like 5 people who are talking and just put your hand out and start, "Hi, I'm Jordan." And you're like, we're having a conversation here. Like, it's weird. But if you know someone by their face, you're like, "Oh, hey, it's Jordan. We're friends on LinkedIn." Or, "Hey, I saw you did this wedding at such and such last weekend." There's like an in if you already have a virtual connection. So I'm really big on it's kind of like online dating professionally.
I love that. And I think something that you said about over time, the more you go, that obviously the more people that you're going to meet. I think that's actually really, really key, especially if you like buy a membership to your local chamber of commerce and you've paid some annual fee. Like that alone should motivate you to go to those 12 events. From a financial perspective. But we discussed this with Madeline in our previous episode in that, if you can make a commitment to go up and talk to 1 or 5 people, yes, it might get you out of your comfort zone. But over time, if you do that and you have this sort of membership in place, then, that's 50 people, isn't it, by the end of the year that you've connected with. And it's going to be more and more comfortable going to these events because you're going to walk in and you're going to know 10, 20, 50 people in there and you'll gravitate to them and they'll introduce you to someone else. You just got to start, really.
And you don't want to ignore the people you already know either. People think like, "Oh, I have to meet this many new people and I don't have time to meet people I already know." I had someone who once told me like, "Oh, I keep seeing the same people over and over." And I'm like, that's the point. You want to build a relationship with them. Yeah, if you meet people once and then never talk to them again, you're not going to build any relationship. But you want to see them every month and like stay on the top of their mind. So if you have something that they need for their client, they're going to think of you as soon as it comes up because they just saw you 2 weeks ago and they know they're going to see you in another 2 weeks. So you're on their mind. You have to always keep fostering those relationships.
Maybe I need to pay to motivate me, like to go to something like this. Maybe I need to pay to actually, because Kiri's just said in the chat that there's quite a few groups in Melbourne that would just pay and play and go along with, and that wasn't her bag. So if you can't beat them, start your own.
It's funny, when I built my network business in heels, I actually took the reverse approach. I thought that it was more appropriate to charge a low fee per visit because I felt like when you wanted to go to networking, you kind of maybe couldn't afford it.
And that's a commitment too.
Yeah. So our model was pay $40, pay as you go. There was no membership. So I've since sold the business and I do believe that they do memberships now. But for me, it was a point of difference in that you pay $40. It's amazing value. You're leaving with a goodie bag that's maybe $200-300 worth of value alone. But you go when you want to go. There's no commitment. So I don't know. There's lots of different sort of options out there, but there are ones like that as well where if you feel like I'm not going to be able to commit to 12 or a year or whatever and make it financially viable, there are definitely ones out there, even on Meetup and things like that you can find where you can just go and you can pay a low fee and go casually.
Yeah. We do like a flat fee for the year and then it includes your tickets. But the fee is so much lower than the retail. If you bought 2 tickets for all 10 events, it would be like almost twice as much as our actual membership fee. So with our membership, the tickets are included, but if you miss a couple events, you don't feel like you paid for nothing because you really have to miss a lot to not have it be still valuable.
Have you got any tips around someone like Ben who's walking into a room? What are some tips for him to just get started and kind of conquer these first steps?
So yeah, because I'm right there with you. So I think first of all, going with someone who's more outgoing than you is a great tip. And I think you talked about that yesterday. You need someone like you, Jack, who will introduce you to other people, who will like force you to meet other people. Because if you go by yourself, it's such a recipe to just like be on your phone and hide in the corner and leave early. Because I've done it and wasted a lot of money doing it. So like, I feel like you have to take someone with you. And I do a presentation called Networker, he wrote, which is like a nod to the 80s TV show Murder, She Wrote, where I kind of compare planning networking to planning a murder. So with that, it's like, you know, having an accomplice is really good because you need someone to like help carry the body, dig a hole.
You've thought this through, Jordan. I like this.
The analogy goes
I
really
didn't think
off
we
the
were
rails.
going in this direction, but here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has gone a whole other way.
The analogy really goes off the rails like mid-presentation, but it makes it a lot of fun. But yeah, so I think you have to, I would never go to anything alone. That's why I include 2 tickets with my membership, because I don't think anyone should show up by themselves unless they're like just that super extrovert who's going to like run laps around the room. Also, I always go, and this has nothing to do with alcohol, but I always go straight to the bar. I want to be able to like go into the room and survey the room and see who's there, who I need to avoid, who I want to meet, and like kind of just get a sense of the room. So going and like getting into the line for the bar right away kind of is like a way for me to like get a hold of the room. And then also, if you're awkward with your hands, like if you don't know what to do with your hands at a networking event, putting a drink in it is like an easy way to just fill at least 50% of your hands. I always use like, because I don't want to be on my phone because I feel like that's really standoffish. If I'm wearing like a blazer, I'll put the blazer over my other arm. So I have like a drink in one hand and a blazer in the other arm. And then that kind of just like fills my arms so I don't feel like I don't know what to do with my hands. And it doesn't need to be alcohol. I mean, I like to drink, and I think, Ben, you like gin as well, correct?
Gin and tonic, espresso martini, whatever. Yep.
I'm a gin and club soda. I can't do tonic. But it's, you know, even if I'm not drinking, you can just get a club soda and lime. And that way, because, you know, you always have those people, oh, why aren't you drinking? Which is one of those like none of your business questions. But if I'm not drinking, club soda with a lime looks like a drink. But, you know, gin and club soda is great. Completely off topic at this point.
I always like to answer that question with something surprising and horrendous. Anyway, going on.
I think it's good now in the current kind of situation. There's so much zero alcohol stuff out there. I mean, I went to something the other week, a work event for me, and I had to drive, but I wanted to get amongst it. So I had a zero alcohol shandy, actually, I think it was. I felt like I was fitting. Yeah. You know.
And then I think also like if you look for those people who are doing the same thing as you, who are playing on their phone, who do look uncomfortable, like those are the best because you already know that they're uncomfortable, so you're gonna like be the hero in their eyes if you go and break the ice with them because they're uncomfortable, so they're gonna be super willing to talk already. And then, you know, if there's someone you can work with in the future, they're always gonna remember you as the person who broke the ice for them. I was at a networking event a couple months ago, and like it was a group of people from Swell, and it was not a Swell event, but there was like 10 of us, and then like 2 people. It was the beginning of the event, 2 people who were not with us. And you could just tell they were like, all these people know each other. And I just ran over and grabbed them, which is like not my personality to talk to strangers. But like, I knew I was like in that herd that looked scary. And so I like brought those people in and they were like, you know, I see this person all the time now. And like, we have a great friendly relationship because she remembers me as that person who like didn't let her stand awkwardly in the corner for 2 hours.
So, Jordan, off the back of that, like, can you share a networking success story that you've had where you've made a connection that's led to something significant or some kind of big opportunity in collaboration?
I think for my looking at our membership, the biggest wins that I've seen are the people who showcase at events because it's an opportunity for them to work with people they might not have worked with. But then, you know, just people who work together. Planners, I try to connect my planners with venues they've never worked at because to bring them to something they work at all the time, it's not doing much for them. But if I have a planner planning one of my events at a venue they've never worked at, and then they start booking weddings there, it's a big win because it's opening a door for them. Because that was as a venue, that's always the hard thing. When you have someone who comes to you and says, you know, I want to be on your list. And you say, well, you have to do a wedding or 2 here before you're on the list. And they say, well, how do I book a wedding if you don't put me on the list? Ongoing chicken or the egg. So a networking event where I bring in planners, it's a really good opportunity to like, you know, you're getting in and you're showing you can do a wedding there or an event there. respect their rules, respect their space, put on something amazing. So my wins really come from people who come and showcase and show what they can do and work with different people that they haven't worked with before.
I've been to a couple of wedding-specific networking events that were like venue open days, and gosh, they work so well. I can imagine they work really well for the couple kind of walking in and seeing a floral display in the venue that they're considering and whatnot. But such a great relaxed way to meet other wedding vendors as well, particularly if you've got a little stall set up or whatever. You're just naturally feeling more confident going up and saying hello to the other stall holder and whatnot. So I think those, look out for those. They're really great, especially if it's a venue that you want to work with. If you're in the business of making dreams come true, listen up, because the Wedding Academy is your ticket to success. Running a wedding business isn't always a walk down the aisle. It takes skill, savvy, and a whole lot of know-how. That's where the Wedding Academy swoops in to save the day. Imagine easy-to-follow certificate courses taught by industry pros covering everything from wedding styling to floral design to even marketing and business for any kind of wedding business. All Wedding Academy courses are 100% online, self-paced, and come with ongoing training and support to keep you up to date. And here's the cherry on top. I've wrangled up an exclusive deal. Just punch in the code PODCAST when you enroll and bam, you'll score a sweet 5% off any course. Ready to take your wedding business to the next level? Then head on over to the Wedding Academy today at weddingacademyglobal.com. Don't forget to plug in that code PODCAST to check out with your special discount.
And those are the great things where like people think of networking as a networking event, but like networking is any opportunity you can have to interact with someone. So if you're doing a wedding show, an expo alongside someone else, the people who are there, even every email, every DM, every interaction is part of networking, because it's all part of building the relationship. I think I've had people actually on events behave really badly, even though you're working. This is networking. Like on a wedding day, it's networking. How you work with someone affects your relationship with them and whether they want to work with you again. Every single opportunity you have is always like an opportunity to build a relationship. Anytime you're in the same room or somehow connected to another vendor, it's a networking opportunity, negative or positive.
What about when it comes to relationship building? Have you got any tips around afterwards, after you've met this person, whether that's in person or at a wedding? What are your tips around cultivating that relationship?
I think the thing is it's a slow game. People want to like become best friends overnight, especially they want to become friends with people they don't really even like. They're just trying to like have the relationship for business purposes. And you really have to like make real relationships, which they are real relationships. And just like a relationship, romantic friend, it's something that develops over time. You can't expect to meet someone on a Tuesday at an event and be put on their list or get booked with them or do something, 2 days later. We're going to be in this industry, hopefully for a long time. So you have to build these relationships slowly, which is seeing people multiple times. It's connecting with them on social media and then thoughtfully engaging with them. You have to like really be careful when you're engaging on social media. And I know, Ben, you have a radar for fakeness. And I think like you have to be careful when you're interacting. I have one person I know who I think they schedule their social media time, and they'll go through and they'll comment on everything I posted for a week with very generic, like, way to go, good job. And it's obvious they're not paying attention to what I actually posted. It's like, oh, I scheduled from 4 to 5 o'clock and I have this list of 10 people and I'm going to go through. Productivity wise, props to them for scheduling that. But like authenticity wise, like it's not authentic at all to do that. You have to like look at what people are posting and post something that's, I think the same way Instagram, registers your comment if it's more than 4 words to make it count for your engagement. Like you have to do the same. You have to put something that's a little bit more thoughtful. If it's someone's birthday, just don't write HBD. Like you have to do a little more to develop that relationship and show someone you care. So I think it's all about being authentic and just giving the time the relationship needs, because it's a real relationship.
Yeah. So going
totally.
the effort to personalize that message, Jordan, it was great seeing the other night. I love the tie, whatever
Yeah.
it is. But like saying something, you go, oh, this person's like actually gone to a bit of effort.
We're doing a callback to something you talked about. Like if you talked about a TV show or a really good thing to, this is terrible. A really good common ground is a common enemy.
I feel this guy.
He's feeling you.
I don't ever want to encourage gossiping, but I feel like there's something people really can connect about if you have both had a bad experience with the same person, or it's terrible that negativity like is sometimes more engaging, and I'm not talking about someone personal, like what's going on, that they're getting a divorce, something awful. I'm talking about like this person took my tip and pocketed it. The bride gave this planner $200 for me and it never got to me. Like, I don't know. There's bad behavior in our industry, and finding people who are a common enemy can sometimes really bring you together. Uniting.
Yep.
So where do you think networking's heading? You think there's going to be any big changes on the horizon, or this is it? LinkedIn.
I think more hands-on experiences, more immersive experiences are really where people are going. Getting away from fluff. With our education, I always want to bring in people who do like really engaging, how-to, instructional. We don't do too much of the inspirational, and I don't want to put down anyone who does. To me, it's just not what's going to move your business forward. And so I think the more hands-on we get, the more niche we get. With Swell, we speak to a big audience because we have people from every category.
Jordan, if you walked outside today and ran into an 18-year-old version of yourself outside, what advice would you give that 18-year-old version of yourself knowing what you know now?
The first thing I would say is you're not fat. It's only going to get worse from here. So
I'll only be as fat as I was then. I hear you.
Yeah, I would say that. Then I would say stop using hairspray.
You don't need hairspray, Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, I did when I was 18 and under, and I think it might have led to some follicle issues because I used a lot of it in the 90s. I don't honestly know if I would tell my 18-year-old self that much else, because business-wise, I made a lot of mistakes. I bought a catering company with no ability to cook. It failed miserably. I had to file bankruptcy. But if I didn't go through that, I don't think I would be comfortably where I am today. So all of my mistakes, I wouldn't want to warn myself about, because I would be scared to see where I was if I just kind of glided through. I might be doing something I really hate. So I would just say, you'll get through the mistakes and just live in them.
I love that.
Yeah, good advice. Thank
Someone once told me this one line, which doesn't sound like much, but if you actually sit on it and think of it, it makes a lot of sense. Education is expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, like the mistakes, but they're education at the end of the day, and you learn from them. But yeah, I've had some doozies myself that have cost a lot of money, but education is expensive.
And success is a shitty teacher too, I think.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Jordan, I know that you've got something special coming up, a virtual summit. Why don't you walk us through that one?
Yeah, May 29th, we're doing a website summit. It's the first virtual event I've done since 2021. I kind of feel like I, stayed away from it because it just gave me too many COVID flashbacks. But we have some really great educators who aren't all here locally. So it's all about websites. We have a speaker coming in to talk about copy on your sales page. We're doing something on SEO. And then we have someone talking about design, and it's about hiring a designer versus doing it yourself. And then we have a really great MC who is a lawyer who will be kind of guiding everyone through the event, but then also giving like legal tips in between about things you need to have on your website to keep you, legally all good with your site. So it's May 29th. It's going to be on Eastern Standard Time. It'll be 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., probably the middle of the night for you. we record everything, and so anyone who buys a ticket will get the recordings as well.
The Wedding Academy, my business is mostly an American and European market. So, but yeah, for any Aussies that are listening like me, I think it's 3:00 in the morning, isn't it, Jordan? Something like that. So stay up with that gin or watch the recording, but it sounds like it would be absolutely worth doing. So the website is suncoastweddingsandevents.com, and your Instagram username is Swell with one L, SWEL events.
Yes,
Jordan,
correct.
thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jordan.
Awesome. You as well.
All right, we'll see you soon. God, that was a good one.
That was fun. Yes.
I got a lot out of that.
He didn't make me uncomfortable.
No,
No.
but I mean,
So-
I don't know. I know a lot about networking, and he had some really interesting ideas that I thought were really
Yeah.
good.
Some stuff I need to think about maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I was a bit busy over the weekend and built a little website for the podcast, weddingempires.com. Go there. You can see all of our episodes and all of our links to where you can find the podcast on all of the platforms. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the usual suspects, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all of that.
Everywhere where you get your podcast.
Everywhere where you get your podcast. And also you'll see there's a $9 subscription option as well. And I'm really, really excited about that. It's for our pro community. Some of you are already there. The benefits of joining this community are incredible. You are going to be here for these events, but you're going to receive an invite reminding you of these events before they go live. So you can just click from your phone or your email and be here and watch. But also there's all these additional other events and trainings on top of what we do at the podcast. So we're constantly getting in professionals to help you with various topics for your wedding business. And there's at least 4 of these a month on top of anything that we're doing on the podcast. So for $9 a month.
$9 a month, subscribe
Right,
and
that
see
alone.
more of us.
But wait, there's more. So you're getting the podcast. You're getting exclusive episodes of the podcast as well. So you're going to start seeing on your podcast provider locked episodes that are only available for these pro members. So that's going to be another bonus. And lastly, we've got a huge library of templates. So tried and tested worksheets, documents, guides to help you with your wedding business. So things like budget spreadsheets and venue inspection checklists, and they're for all different kinds of roles. So not just for a wedding planner, there's things in there for florists, venues, photographers, the whole bit. So,
and for my photography team, there is some extra stuff coming for you as well.
Yes. We've been plotting some course material about wedding photography. So anyway,
can we share the other stuff?
What other stuff?
The other stuff?
Your stuff?
The secret squirrel stuff that we're thinking about. Just a little bit.
Okay, go on.
Okay, I'm really excited about this. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we have something in the works that we're really excited about, and it's something that is going to involve you guys, all of you out there who are watching, and we're going to ask for your input and ask for your stories. I'm not going to share too much. Just want to sit that there and just run away.
Yeah, watch this space.
Yes, just watch this space. We're super excited about this, and I'm really excited about this. So, watch this space. Something big is coming. Yes.
There you go. You heard it here first. So more details to follow. But, our website is weddingempires.com. If you want to connect on the socials and send us a message, we'd love to hear from you. Our username on Instagram and TikTok is Wedding Empires Podcast. And if you look it up on Facebook, you'll find a little group there as well.
Yes, indeed.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
This episode of Wedding Empires is brought to you by the Wedding Academy, where you can start and grow your wedding business. We offer certificate courses, group coaching programs, and a whole heap of templates and worksheets and things to help you get started and grow your wedding business. For more information, visit weddingacademyglobal.com. And don't forget to use your 5% discount code PODCAST when checking out.